Mr. Loompa. Forget it.
Tell me what it is, or I shall poke you with a cocktail stick.
My name is Willy Wonka. Call the police.
Do not sell chocolate in this town!
Stand up to those bullies.
What are you talking about?
Give them the old 1-2.
What? I got an idea.
You're off your rocker, Wonka!
Wonka, rated PG, December 15th.
Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to another movie review. And this review is going to be on Wonka. And the film stars Timothée Chalamet, Calah Lane, Keegan-Michael Key, Paterson Joseph, Matt Lucas, Mathew Baynton, Sally Hawkins, Rowan Atkinson, and Hugh Grant. And this is the prequel to the book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it's the third film in the Willy Wonka films. Of course, you have the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which came out in 1971, starring Gene Wilder. It's an absolute classic. It went from being a box office flop to a cult classic years later, where it was looked at again on TV and on VHS. Just Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of my favorite films, and Gene Wilder does a splendid performance as Willy Wonka in that film. I mean, everybody's seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And then you had Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which was directed by Tim Burton, which starred Johnny Depp, and I thought that film was okay. Did I love it? No. But I remember seeing it once, and I'm like, all right, it was okay. Even though I think Johnny Depp's Wonka comes off as a creep, in my opinion, because from what I remember, he's following around the character of Charlie Bucket, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But overall, seeing it once years ago, I just thought it was an okay film. I mean, you have a young Freddie Highmore in there, which he would go on to star in, Bates Motel and also The Good Doctor. And he also had Helena Bonham Carter in it. So, the film Wonka, saw it today, saw it earlier, just got back from it, I think maybe an hour ago. And I loved it. I really enjoyed the film. I had a lot of fun with it. The film has a heart to it. It's charming. And the characters, I thought, were pretty good. The film does have, elements from the original where it contains, musical songs, because this is a musical fantasy film. So it has that. And it also has the design of the Oompa Loompa, played by Hugh Grant, which his character's name is Lofty, the Oompa Loompa. So really like that they included, those two things in the film, with the songs and the look of Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. But basically, what the film is about is, of course, it's the origin story of Willy Wonka, who is played by Timothée Chalamet, and he arrives by boat to this European city to fulfill his dream of opening his very own chocolate shop at the Galeries Gourmet, which when, he comes there, he sees the three main chocolatiers, which is Mr. Slugworth, Mr. Prodnose, and Mr. Fickelgruber. Slugworth is played by Paterson Joseph, and when I was watching the film, I'm like, I seen this guy somewhere. Turns out he was actually in the TV show Timeless, which was on NBC from 2016 to 2018, which is one of my favorite shows. Sad that it got canceled after 2 seasons, but he was in that show, and pretty much, him and Prodnose, who was played by Matt Lucas, and Fickelgruber, who was played by Mathew Baynton. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And they all want Wonka to just go away. because when Wonka gets to the Galleries Gourmet, those three guys, who are the main villains of the film, they end up eating Wonka's chocolates, and they end up mocking, Wonka's chocolates. So they end up calling the chief of police to confiscate Wonka's earnings, and we also see that Wonka is staying at this laundry that's owned by Mrs. Screwbit and her henchman Bleacher, which Bleacher is the one who tells Wonka, "Oh, we got somewhere to stay. We got somewhere for you to stay." So he ends up taking Wonka to the laundry, which is owned by Mrs. Screwbit, who is played by Olivia Colman, and Bleacher is played by Tom Davis. So they end up giving him a room, and there's this little girl named Noodles, who is a orphan, who is played by Calah Lane, and she's like to Wonka, "Oh, read the fine print." So, because there's like a whole long contract that he sees, but since Wonka is illiterate here, he signs the contract, and it forces him to pay the charges during his stay there. So he's unable to pay his rent, and Mrs. Screwbit ends up forcing Wonka down to the laundry to work 10,000 days to repay, his debt for the rent. So while he's down there, he meets others that were trapped by Mrs. Screwbit. You got, Abacus, who was an accountant. You have also Piper, who was a plumber, a comedian named Larry, and Lottie, who was a telephone operator. So as the film progresses, Wonka ends up hiring, Noodles and Abacus, Piper, Larry, and Lottie to help him open, his chocolate shop, and to also take down Slugworth, Prodnose, and Fickelgruber, which they are known as the Chocolate Cartel, because we find out that all three of them have, their base of operations located under a church. And the church is run by Father Julius, who is played by Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean himself. And it's also run by his chocoholic monks, who pretty much love chocolate. And they end up storing a large reserve of chocolate, there in the church. So pretty much that's basically, what the plot to the film is about, the early days of Willy Wonka as a chocolatier. We also see, him as a young kid and his mother, which, that scene, I thought was, very good. So, but I loved the film. I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun with it. Timothée Chalamet, I thought, was good in the role as Willy Wonka. He brings a charm to the character. And if I had to rank the Wonkas for the films, of course, Gene Wilder is number one for me. Gene Wilder will always be number one. And then Timothy will be number two. And then Johnny Depp would be last. So that's how I would rank the actors who played Willy Wonka. That's in my opinion, though. I mean, I know there are a lot of people that like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that's fine. But like I said, I just thought it was an okay film. But Johnny Depp's Wonka just comes off as, just a creep, in my opinion. But like I said, I thought Timothée Chalamet did a good job in the role. And Calah Lane, who plays Noodles, I thought she was very good. I like the chemistry between her and Wonka, as the film progresses. You got Keegan-Michael Key in the film, which, it was good to see him, where he plays the chief of police. And, pretty much in the film, Wonka's trying to sell his chocolates, and he has to make an escape from the police. So pretty much he ends up doing that. But good to see him there, Keegan-Michael Key. You got Arthur Slugworth, played by Paterson Joseph, which I thought he played a good villain here. And Progno's played by Matt Lucas, pretty good. Fickelgruber, played by Mathew Baynton. I thought, he did very good as well. Rowan Atkinson, I gotta say, he's in the film for, maybe one or two scenes, and then that's it. Like, when we first see him, he's only on screen for a minute. And then we don't see him until probably, like, later on, like, in the film. The scene with the giraffe, they let the giraffe loose in the church. That's the only time that we see Rowan Atkinson again. So, to me, disappointed that the character didn't get a bigger role in the film, because he's Rowan Atkinson. He's Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is one of the many iconic characters that he ever played. And I'm a fan of Rowan Atkinson. I grew up with him as, playing Mr. Bean. I liked the first Bean film. I mean, his character of Mr. Bean had a big impact, during my childhood. But overall, very disappointed that, he wasn't in the film a whole lot. But it was good to see him. But the songs I thought were very good as well. Some of them, very catchy. But really enjoyed the songs in the film. Also, Hugh Grant, who plays Lofty, the Oompa Loompa. I know he went on to say that, he hated doing the role because he didn't like doing motion capture work, and he only took the role because he needed a job. He was doing it for his kids. So, but Hugh Grant, I thought he did a all right job as, Lofty the Oompa Loompa. But it's a very colorful film as well. I liked some of the CGI in it. I thought the CGI looked, pretty good as well. But Wonka, loved the film, really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun with it. If you liked the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book, which I never read the book. Of course, it was written by Roald Dahl. He also wrote Matilda, as well. But, he's no longer with us. Sadly passed away years ago. But if you read the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book and seen the previous two films, definitely check out this film. You'll be surprised with it. I know I saw some people say, from the trailer, I'm like, they were like, oh, this doesn't look that good. But going into it, you'll be surprised. But that's Wonka. Loved the film, enjoyed it. It's definitely worth the watch. Would highly recommend it. But anyways, that's it for my review of Wonka. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.